Pedro from A&P-Reacts. I'm here today with Ben Savage of Whitechapel to talk about Kin, the new album coming out October 29th on Metal Blade. How's it going?
Oh, it's going great, man. Just at my wife's dad's house, just hanging out. He's got a nice studio here. He does like voiceover works and stuff. So it's cool. It's nice and padded in here. I can hear everything real clear. And yeah, it's a nice little Monday.
Are you excited or nervous about the upcoming album, or maybe both?
I'm excited. I'm really excited. If it was I guess with like albums like Mark of the Blade and stuff, I was like more nervous and stuff because we were trying new things for the first time. But like now I feel like we're really confident in what we could pull off. And we had a long time to work on the album, so it's like we didn't cut any corners. So it's really we just real excited for people to hear it.
Once you guys finish with The Valley, were you guys left with a sense that not every stone had been turned? There was still something to be said. There was something that still had room and needed to be coming out, and therefore now we have Kin?
Yeah, I mean, The Valley is such a dense story. It can it'd be a shame if we moved on to something else. We're all real fans of like sagas and just epic storytelling, like like Lord of the Rings and like stuff like that. And I feel like with our music we could like make it real like dramatic and cathartic, like with the sounds and the heaviness and the melodies that like not many bands can pull off. So we just really went for it on this one.
When you're working on an album like this, or coming from The Valley into this one, two records that are very emotionally driven, does that impact the way you guys attack an album from a creative perspective? Does that affect it in any way?
Yeah, it affected this time around because with The Valley, we wrote the music like before Phil wrote any lyrics or had any concept in mind. So we wrote the music, kind of piggybacking off Mark of the Blade. We just kind of wanted to do more, like make it darker and more melody, like more inviting melodies, just more light and shade. And Phil, around that time, I guess Phil was like looking through his mom's journal and thought, this could make a really cool like story. Judging from his mom's journals. He kind of wrote the story, or wrote the songs to the music, wrote the lyrics to the music, and like each song was its own like little short story. It's like it's not like a novel by any means. It's just like little short stories that like tell like just instances of his childhood. And with Kin, we knew we wanted to have, we knew he was going to write about something in that vein. So we just kind of wrote the music to make it more like dramatic and cinematic, and we kind of wanted to feel like like a musical or an opera or something, just something that has really cool passages and kind of like tells a story like musically. So we wrote the songs first, and like we always do, and we sequenced the album how we'd want to hear it, like just with the music.
Wow.
So starting with track 1, and Phil wrote the lyrics starting from track 1 till the end. So he kind of wrote it like in a linear storyline. So it is essentially a musical. It tells it from beginning to end, the story, and it just kind of continues off from where The Valley left off. Like the last track, Doomwoods, the next track is I Will Find You. Doomwoods, the last line is the devil is alive, he will find you. And then the first track on Kin is I Will Find You, and the first lyrics are the devil is dead. So that's kind of, that whole song is about Phil leaving the valley and awakening like an evil self. So it's like So, it's just, they're both like brother records, sister records, kindred, Valley and Kin. It's not really like a part two or anything. It's like, they're its own thing, but they're both
interconnected.
Yeah.
Musically, was there something that you guys discover within yourselves when you guys were doing the Valley that you wanted to kind of keep alive and well when it came into the Kin?
Yeah. We really like, because we were toying with like new sounds, like with Hickory Creek and Third Depth, and When a Demon Defiles a Witch, like those songs, they have the heaviness, and then they have those inviting parts, and we really wanted to focus in on that, and just expand on it more. So we really, just try to, find the best riffs that could kind of complement, that dramatic sound we were going for.
You mentioned a little bit earlier about the structure, how you guys designed the whole record in terms of what's going to be the first song all the way down to the last song in a very perhaps untraditional way.
Yeah.
How difficult was that? Or was it easier than going through a more normal route?
No, it was very difficult. Just writing the songs, like, we spend like, 2 years writing riffs and parts, and, then when it's time to, write the record or, put it together, we get together as a band, and then we go through everything like we've done individually. And the hardest part was just finding, that riff or that sound that sounds like it should be, this is the next step from the Valley. That was the hardest part. And when we came up upon, the chorus riff and I Will Find You, that's when it kind of like clicked, because it has this, or, just the beginning riff, just the whole song, I Will Find You. That was the first song that was written. It kind of has this Appalachian dulcimer sound to it, just like a picky. Mm-hmm. So it has this, Appalachian sound, that kind of piggybacks off, the Valley, which is, the Valley is in the Appalachian Mountains. So it and it has this very heavy, dark melody to it, and this driving, tempo. So once we came upon that, and we actually were working on that song, and we finished it, and then everything starts like kind of getting better and more perspective. But it's just getting past that first hump of writing the first song is always the hardest part on every record.
When I was listening to this album, it made me actually go back into the Valley and listen to that record again, and then come back into this again to kind of get a little bit of a better feel of what you guys were doing. And I felt like one record was a little bit of the process of going through an exorcism, while on this album you guys are slaying the demon. Do you have that same sense, both lyrically and musically?
Yeah. I see it more. Yeah. So that's cool that you see it that way. The Valley was a very dark record, very, like an exorcism sort of in a way.
Just the first dark. It's like you haven't exorcised the demon yet. You're just like coming face to face with it, if you will,
Yeah. So on Kin, we really wanted to have like an uprising sort of sound to it. I was like, just kind of think like, thematically, like, or musically, you got the Valley that, a drop, and then if you reverse it, it's a peak. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the riffs, like when I was layering harmonies and stuff, I would like try to make it sound like it was like lifting up, like rising to a peak and then falling down. Kind of like the first riff in I Will Find You, or like the beginning, like initial stabs in I'm talking about Lost Boy. The first riff in Lost Boy, it kind of harmonizes to a peak and then descends. Or the first initial stabs in I Will Find You kind of have, it's like bum 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 bum. So it's like 1 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1. So that creates a peak valley. So like the first notes on the record creates a peak. So it kind of has like this uplifting sound to it. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess that was kind of always in the back of our heads, or back of my head at least, when we were putting it together, just kind of thinking in those terms, and just kind of like, kind of letting it all hang out there. We just really didn't know, like, during COVID, like what was going to happen. So we thought we'd just let it all hang out.
It's what I'm going to say next is going to sound like an oxymoron, because the whole album is so punchy. There's so much aggression throughout this entire record. But I felt like the last third of the album, there was more of a sense of melancholy built into the atmosphere of the songs. Not that they were not heavy, not that they were not punchy, but that
Yeah.
melancholy kind of took charge in terms of how I felt towards the songs. Do you see that same dip towards the end? Is that the end of the record, that the end of that peak coming back down to another valley?
Yeah. Really, like it kind of like resolves at the end. I mean,
Yeah, there's a sense
like
of resolution.
yeah, like with the closing track, Ken, because I mean, in the story, the previous track, Without Us, is the battle. That's when they finally battle. And then Ken is kind of like the resolve. And yeah, it is, it is. I mean, it's all meant to have a flow and a resolution to it. Yeah, we take like, sequencing very, very important. We believe it's very important to do that.
Was there a track on this album that created some difficulties, that perhaps was very close of not making it to the album?
Um, the song Without Us, I remember, yeah, that was kind of hard to finish. But once we came up with the bridge part, the bridge section, and the transitioning out of the bridge section, kind of fell into place. But yeah, it was hard because at first, we started with the heavy, chugs, and it was just hard to get like a grip on like where to take the song from, like, just heavy chugging, like, because it seems like you could go so many possibilities. So but so once we found like the verse riff and like the other parts, we got a better sense of it. But I remember that one was hard.
Well, when I take a step away from this record and I look back, I felt that the biggest strength of this album was how you guys were able to connect the emotional drive of the lyrics, of the vocals, with the atmosphere that you guys created with the sound. All of these pieces were perfectly blended as one. It's really hard to listen to this record and try to break those pieces apart. It really feels like all one just giant piece. Do you see that as being
Yeah.
perhaps the biggest strength that this album has to offer, that cohesive nature amongst all the different elements?
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like threaded together.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, we took a long time like structuring the songs, and it's getting it right. And then we did vocals. We recorded guitars first, and then vocals, and then drums. So the drums could kind of play over the music that's recorded, so that it felt like the drums were more threaded in, rather than like the drums being recorded first and you just playing to the drums.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in the process. And then at the end, I'll like lay down solos and acoustic stuff and other melodies on top, so I could kind of finish out little missing pieces here and there. So like I could kind of like add chords and stuff that makes it feel whole. So I guess it's all in the process. I think that's what makes it feel like that, feel threaded in. Like, and I would kind of like react to Phil's vocals too, like on solos, like in Lost Boy, when he sings underneath my shadow is a snake. For the first part of the solo, I kind of just replicate his little singing part, and then I go off. So it kind of feels like it's a reprise.
I thought it was phenomenal the way you guys did this record from that perspective. Like I said, it's really hard to break it apart. Everything is so well weaved together that you have to adjust to everything at the same time. And that gives the album so much strength, because it makes the album thick. It just has a lot to give to the listener. And that to me is the biggest strength of the album. It makes you want to go back for more because you still feel like there's something that you didn't really get.
Yeah.
You have to dive deeper into it.
That's
you know
awesome, man. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it kind of feels like alive in a way. And the mixing job by David Castillo, he had a big part to do with it because it just has a cool vibe to it. He's just really great at blending, the distortion with the softer melodies.
When you look at these two records, specifically now with Kin, because that's the one that's closer to you, is it draining physically, mentally to create albums that are this emotionally attached to the band?
Yeah, I mean, when we're writing and stuff, it's just like, it is, because you'll stay up like later than you want, because you got something in your head, and it's just kind of like you're trying to think of just parts to go after. It's just like, it's a lot, writing the record. It seemed like it was harder this time around than it's ever been, because there's just so much different styles of music on it. You got to give into the strengths of that the genre or style that we're playing in at in the moment. So yeah, I mean, it's mentally draining.
One last question for you. As you look at Kin, is this a closing of a chapter for Whitechapel when you go and you look forward to the next record, or is that too early to even consider it?
Yeah, it's too early to consider it because, I'd like to make a trilogy, and like, but we just don't know what that's gonna, sound like, or what Phil would have to say. I mean, we just have to, get in a room together. We'll probably be, it'd probably be another year before we start writing again for another record. I mean, we have like another years of material right now because, we were like recording around this time last year, or like, so like, I mean, we've always been writing, so I already got a lot of material for the next record. So we'll probably just get another year of, gathering stuff and then getting together and just seeing how that sounds. But I don't know. We just, it's too early to tell.
If it's worth making two, it's definitely worth making three.
I know. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what, Phil writes about on the next one.
If you're a fan of Lord of the Rings and those kind of epic movies, and that's what you're going for, you definitely need your trilogy completed. So
yeah,
let's keep our fingers crossed for what chapter comes after Kin.
Yes, seriously.
Well, Ben, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Much success to you and the guys with the album coming out on October 29th on Metal Blade. Kin, Whitechapel, you guys rock. So thank you for your time.
Oh, thanks, Pedro. I appreciate the time and the listening and the feedback. Love it, man.
You guys kick ass, man. Great record. Take care.
Thank you. See ya.